No, we're just gonna start here. Yeah, we're just gonna start here. Okay, good afternoon, happy Friday, everybody. This is kind of one of the first times we're doing this, so afterwards, let me know the feedback. If it's worth pursuing and continuing, then I think this is a kind of an easy kill, as far as getting information out and talking about TTPs and kind of the best way to use the uh, the sims and the tools. What we're going to do today is we're going to go over what tools we're going to use, how we use them, and kind of where they fit best. What we're going to do is we're going to go over a profile. It's going to be a two-ship profile. It's going to be off of our runway, run 15 right out to the MOA. We're not going to go all the way to MOA. We're just going to save some time by getting to the MOA block altitude. From there, we'll go GX. We'll do some rejoins, ET, and then we'll do a little bit of TAC and fluid maneuvering. In doing so, we're going to use TACView and OBS to help diagnose root cause errors, things that the student can do better. We've got two IPs here, so we'll see what kind of root cause analysis we can do with two IPs here at the depth. But we're going to use the tools that we've been using with the students and that we're seeing pretty useful as far as designating good, accurate root cause, common student errors, and then seeing seeing some good takeaways from debriefing the sim and so forth. So what we'll do first is we're going to start off with the setup. So you get into the sim and you can see on your screen, this is sort of the generic setup that we've got. We're going to augment this a little bit according to what the mission profile is. But on the right side, we've got what you guys are pretty familiar with the student's view. And on the left side, we have created a new view to see the student avionics setup. Obviously, it's got some benefits to see the avionics a little bit closer when you are proctoring a sim or helping a student. But what we're going to do is we're going to add in a couple more things here. So this screen is pretty easy to move around, and you can resize it. And so we're going to resize it and put this in kind of the upper left-hand corner of the screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to now use this bottom quarter for TACView. There's a couple of things that you got to do to make sure TACView is working. We've got two different icons here. We've got the gray icon, we've got the blue icon. The first one, the gray icon, is the one we're going to want to click on first. You're going to get this screen, and really all it's doing is it's telling you that the information or the program is running in the background to get TACView info. So once you see this screen, go ahead and minimize it. If you don't know where that is, if you just go into your start menu, search for TACView, open the folder, and you're going to see this icon there. Go ahead and either pin it to the taskbar or create a shortcut so that you can get there kind of quickly. From there, go ahead and minimize, and then you're going to bring up the actual TACView here. So while P3D is running, and you're in a networked game, so multiplayer, so you can do formation, we just clicked on the gray TACView icon, and now we're going to go to the blue TACView icon. You're going to go to real-time telemetry, connect. And I'm using the mouse wheel right now to zoom in. You should see all players now in the multiplayer session. And you can zoom out with the mouse, you can move it around, and you can mess with the colors of the aircraft as required, but right now we'll just kind of leave it as is, and we'll go ahead and change it once we get the formation sortie underway. So this is kind of how we set things up here as far as the screen goes. We'll go ahead and close this or minimize this enough to where we can see the instruments and TACView as required. You guys can just obviously do whatever screen setup you want, but this is kind of how we've got it. So now what I've got is a bird's eye view, a pretty objective idea of where these two planes are in relation to each other, what the student has as far as avionics setup goes, and then where they're looking. So we're going to describe more of these in detail here. We will talk about the setup for the iPad later on as far as getting ForeFlight on your iPad and viewing it on the screen, and that's really good for instrument sorties. but for right now, we'll just go ahead and move on with the sortie. So like I said, 1.5 right, we'll get the GX, rejoin ET, FM after that, and then we'll kind of call it quits. While we're going through this, if you have questions or whatever, we're doing this live so that you can ask those questions and get them answered. Go ahead and throw them up on the chat. You should see it on the right-hand side if you guys are mobile, or if you're in the web browser and YouTube. Go ahead and write whatever questions you got up there. We've got Scream Stillwagon here that can help answer those questions. It looks like I'm going to be flying this thing against one of our other IPs. And then we're going to use all of these tools here to debrief in a sort of a part task training ITD, just so you can kind of see how it's used. So let me switch headsets here, and we'll get going. I'll be number 2. I'll be following number 1 out into the makeshift MOA. Like I said, I'll be a rejoin. We got some objectives that we'll use to look at, and we'll pause as required for the 1.5 right 6-second interval departure. CTS is a timely rejoin for us. We'll go ahead and try and keep that under 1500A. We'll rejoin to route, and we'll get to TAC. If we've got something that we'd like to look at, we'll go ahead and pause it, use TAC view to look at it objectively, use the other screens. And then what we'll do is we'll get set up for the GX. What we're looking for is 2 good GX turns, 1 4 to 4.5, 2 5 to 5.5 Gs. And we want to be 180 out, holding airspeed and G. And this is kind of traditionally a little bit difficult in the T6 nation. So we'll probably pause and look at that real time and debrief it, and then off to the rejoins and so forth. So a lot of dialogue as we go, and I'll probably be talking as we fly. So I'm going to jump into a different headset here, and then we'll get this thing underway. All right, so we're actually have another IP fly, so I can walk through the setup and pause and debrief here real time. So we've got 2 IPs flying against each other. We've got TAC view right now. They're going to be taking off. While we're waiting, we'll go ahead and change and edit this object to change the color and so forth. Edit object, and you just go right to color. And number 2 is going to be green for us today, so blue and green, pretty standard. And then what we'll do is we'll link these 2 together. So you'll see I've got 1 airplane up here, 1 airplane here, and now I've got bearing and range. I've got aspect and range from these guys, and it'll draw a line to these, so I'll always know where they are in relation to each other. And so that helps with things like TAC, formation, station keeping, rejoins, closures, aspect, those sorts of things. And it's a very objective debrief, which obviously helps a lot. Alright, we're setting up here still. Again, if you guys have questions, please write them in chat. We'll go ahead and real time answer them.
Yeah, right? Did they even need the T6i?
Sorry, I just need just a straight out. It's just straight out, dude. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Ready when you are.
Phase 1 check.
2. Are you talking on the radios or no?
Yes.
You are.
Every time we're phase 0 1 holding short interval.
Phase 01 winds, calm, runway 15 right, clear for takeoff.
Phase 1 good takeoff.
Fuck. Should have got a booster seat. Three, 4, 5, 6.
All right, so you're seeing real time, obviously, airspeed, altitude, where the student is looking, and where they are in relation to the other aircraft here.
Phase 0 departing push 5.
So we already see we've got good closure, pretty good smash.
Phase 1 check.
2.
San Antonio, phase 1 passing 1,600 to 3,000. Press ground
Phaser 01 radar contact 2 miles south of Randolph. Climb maintain block 701 2000, air assignment 8 low.
Phase 1 701 2000. Air assignment 8 low.
Yeah. Right now, so right now what I've got is I've got range and bearing from this container right here, and I've also got it in the very top view here, and that's always going to be there. These buttons right here will center it either on both of these aircraft or just on one. You can have up to and include, I mean, it's not just a 2-ship or a 4-ship, but whoever's in the multiplayer session, they're all going to be represented in TAC view here. So you can choose from all different players from the drop-down menus here, and you can get range and bearing between any aircraft. All right, so I'd say expeditious rejoin. We can go ahead and take a look at that if we want to. We're going to press to the GX. What we're going to be looking for here, like I said, 2 good pulls, 4 to 4.5 Gs on the first one, 5 to 5.5 Gs on the second one, and I'm looking for a good 180 turn. For us, we're going to add a training rule, no less than 3,000 feet between these aircraft. So right now we've got 3.6 about. And you can see the student's point of view. She's looking at, and it's probably hard to see on your screen right here. You got the red letters under the other aircraft. But she's using those references that we normally talk about in the aircraft to get that 3,000 plus distance while in TAC. And if you want, it's kind of an easy way to force a blind. You can turn the labels off with Control-Shift-L, and now we can work on blind contingencies and so forth. All right, Slayer, you can climb at like 140 if you want to just expedite getting up to, we'll just call it 10,000. We'll start the GX.
What's your heading?
160.
Okay.
None of those, so it's me. It must be the 10.
Perfect.
Now, while they're getting out into the MOA, one important tool that I didn't talk about is OBS. OBS is going to be a screen capture software. It's going to be a program that's on the ITDs, and it's going to look a little wonky here in a minute, but it's this program right here. It's this little saw looking thing. OBS, you'll be able to find it if you search for it. All the ITDs have it, but open it up. You're going to want to put in display capture here, and you're going to get something that looks like this. Once you get something that looks like this is telling you that this screen, this program is capturing whatever's on this screen here. So what we did was we hit
Phaser 2, bug's good.
and you could respond there, switch. You're going to see a
Phaser 2, 1000.
you're going to see a start and stop recording. I already hit start on ours, and it's recording this live. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a good way to play back.
2.
A good way to play back what we're about to go see. So no closer than 3000. We've got that checked. That means her references are working. Maybe a little bit inside. We should.
Phaser 2's ready.
Phaser G warm-up hook right.
All right, we got the Phaser G warm-up hook right call. Here's one good pull.
Phaser 1's ready.
Phaser 2's ready.
Phaser G awareness hook right.
All right, you can pause.
Phaser 1 1000 flash 1 5 Gs.
Phaser 2, 1000, 6 Gs.
All right, so you can pause whenever.
Ready, pause.
Which one's pause?
She is pause.
Which one's pause? What's pause?
All right, we are paused. So
Pause.
we've already kind of seen real time the departure and the GX. All right, so let's go ahead and break that down. What we talked about, we are using OBS to record everything. What we're going to do is we're going to stop recording, minimize it, don't close it. We're going to go right into the videos. You can see we got a whole bunch. Today's date is what? And let me find it here.
No. 10, 15.
Is it the 15th?
Yes, it is.
Well, no, I wrote the email. I just want to make sure I'm not inaccurately representing our work.
All right, so this is what we just saw. So if you guys are following along, this is off of the OBS screen record program. And this is a video file that I'm now displaying or showing the student in the ITD of what they just did, right? So we've got the TAC view lines that we saw real time. If I wanted to debrief maybe a slow rejoin, I can look at all the parameters once again as an IP with the respect to airspeed, pitch, pitching for airspeed, right, decision making, all that stuff. So we're not going to really look at the departure right now. We got the fence in and get into the GX. So you probably saw an over turn on the GX. The spacing looks good. As far as the training rules, 200 to 220 was fine, and then nothing inside 3000. So that's all good. But now let's look at the overturn. So we're going to go to where the GX was. This is us showing you where OBS is. Here's the first turn of the GX. So let's run that back real quick. Starting parameters. What is that? 160 looks like. She might have been correcting her formation position off of lead. So already we're kind of angled in. So 160. should be at a 340 rollout. G's look good. Airspeed looks good, so this pitch is good. So it's probably just not bugging or starting off on a wrong heading. So for me, the debrief is probably going to be what were you trying to set? What were you looking at with respect to are we lined up with lead or are we not? We started at 160. Like I said, we should roll out at like a 340. And as we can kind of see, it's a little bit of an over rotate here. So if I didn't catch it the first time, this is a great tool to go ahead and catch it a second time. So now she's trying to fix the formation position. We get another call for the G awareness, and let's see how we do. So 350, what, 170? All right. All right, a little better this time. So that was kind of probably a decision to set and be ready and call twos ready, right? And if it's not, let's not get jammed in mismanaging tasks on the fence in and keeping lead waiting. So hey, when we fence in, go ahead and note the heading that we are aligned on. Put the heading bug there. Get ready for the GX. One's ready, two's ready, and then we'll get that 180 off. So that's kind of how we're going to debrief that one, and then we would do this all over again so that we're not over rotating. So that's kind of the beauty of the OBS function. So right now what we'll do is we'll close out of this. And we'll go ahead and delete all of the old ones. We don't really need them.
Jesus Christ. How could
And like I said, it'll default to the videos, the OBS function, but you can obviously change that. So we're paused right now at the very last spot that we left off on. She's still in relation to lead in the same place. What we'll do is we'll unpause and we'll let her fix her formation position. This slider right here will shorten or lengthen the tail of the trails. And so for tack turns and so forth, obviously it's pretty useful. But right now we're at where we need to go. Slayer, if you wouldn't mind, once we come off pause, throw out a good reference heading so that we can all get aligned. We'll get good tack position, and we're going to go with a rejoin. Things that I want out of you guys on the rejoin is an expeditious bid to the rejoin line. All right, and right now, obviously, we're for the IPs, we're not going to talk about what that rejoin line is. Just get to that expeditious rejoin line, and then with a good airspeed. And this would be a tack rejoin, so 245 degrees, Slayer. Cool. So really for us, looking for about 210 to maybe 215, especially if we're super far away to keep that rejoin going. And then let's go within 270. 270 right now with tack rejoin, pretty easy, but we'll do that in the sim and we'll debrief it if required. So let me know when you guys are ready to come off pause, and then we'll continue.
All right, ready.
All right. Off pause. We're off pause. So here's the reference setting 160.
2.
I'll maintain 10,000.
2. Whatever.
We'll go ahead and start recording on OBS.
Oh. There it goes.
Phase the rejoin left
Two.
turn.
All right, we just got a phaser rejoin left turning. So she's going to make her initial move to generate that line of sight, and then she's going to look for that rejoin line expeditiously.
Ah! I spinned.
Looks like a little sim OCF. All right, if we want to reset, let's reset this one.
Phase the roll out from shore. Attack this side.
2. Too aggressive. Too aggressive. 2. All right. Ready. 2. Not so aggressive.
Alright, get that line of sight. Cool. Alright, first things first, finding that rejoin line, then setting that stack.
Two. 2.
Alright, and out to tack. No, let's go ahead and look at that. So we're going to go ahead and pause. I got your pause switch. There it is. Alright, very good. So what were we looking for? A rejoin from from tack. Expeditiously getting on that rejoin line, continuing that closure throughout up until a root position, then stabilizing, not getting low, and then ultimately within 270. So we'll kind of look at how we did here. Without using OBS, we can already kind of look at how that rejoin went. And we can use OBS here to sort of enrich what we know and what we can see from the student's perspective. We can play this thing real time. So here's the rejoin that we just saw. A lot of heading crossing angle. She already had that line of sight moving towards the nose, so we could probably shorten that initial move a little bit, aka reverse a little earlier, but we do find this rejoin line pretty quickly. Now from her perspective, we can see that what this aspect is calling what is that, 50, 53? Looks like kind of what we talked about in the brief, right? So that tip of the tail pretty much in line with the wing, the up wing. So kind of a long initial move. We could have reversed a little bit earlier, but that's fine. We got to the turn circle, but like I said, what are we looking for? Get to that rejoin line expeditiously and then continue a nice stable rejoin. So I think we did that pretty good. Nice lag and then lead as we're letting that aspect look like something that we're looking for that we talked about in the briefing. And this is kind of what we hold. So what's nice about tack view is we can see this from her perspective. We can also see it from the other aircraft's perspective. And this is from lead. The way that we are able to do that is just click on this middle button that has your aspect and your range. And you can click back and forth between different players that are linked up. So this is a good sight picture for, as lead, I know she's on about a 45 to like a 5 aspect. So that works out nicely. We'll go ahead and minimize this. And just because I think we got what we needed out of here, I thought that was nice. A little bit low. So what does that low picture look like? Let's go back to those videos. Should stop recording here. So nice job expeditiously getting to that rejoin line that we had briefed. However, we'll talk about that low stack. So let's find the point in this video where we did that last rejoin. And this looks like it. Jaeger, you asked, how did, we'll pause it right here. How'd you change the view to seat view and tack view? We'll go back to it real quick. tack views back up. What you're going to do is you're going to go from this little airplane, the overhead, to where you can kind of move the world around, to the helmet that's down here in the taskbar. And with my mouse, I'm just left clicking and dragging. So that's how you go to the seat view, and then go back to the airplane. In world view, it's a little bit weirder. We don't really use this too much just because it doesn't lock onto an airplane. So these are the two main ones that we use. No force feedback in our sticks, actually, unfortunately, so to speak there. Okay, back to the video file. So we'll look at the initial move. That's about the line of sight that I want. We could have reversed a little bit earlier or been a little bit more aggressive. We could go downhill to preserve our airspeed so that we don't have to correct such a slow airspeed condition while getting to the rejoin line. But we already see we're getting that rejoin line pretty nicely. The thing that I would change here, so we're at max, we can already tell. So nice job with, lift vector we talked about a little bit, reversing earlier. Power is going to be max. And then it's going to be left and right stick to maintain this aspect. You can see this is a great stack. We start to get low. So how do I know we're low in the stack? The jet isn't down here, it's up here. And we could be a little bit faster in the airspeed when we have to climb out of the hole for being low is when we're going to decrease our airspeed and we're going to stop our steady closure. So we have to climb up here a little bit more, and that's going to slow that overtake. 2-ship, not as bad, but 4-ship, now we're going to start seeing delayed rejoins. So that's kind of the debrief here. So things that I would fix, just looking at the video, I would reverse that initial move from generating line of sight to bidding towards the rejoin line. And then I would add a little bit more backstick trim and backstick pressure so I won't go too far down into the hole on that rejoin. Cool. So that rejoin is debriefed as far as what to do better next. We'll get back into P3D. Our normal setup. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead and ask away. We just did the rejoin. What we're going to do is right now we'll go to ET. Yep. We'll do that from a root position. So she just got put to root. We'll go to ET. Before we do this, it's important you guys know we're going to take the tack view program and we're going to move this play slider all the way to the right and we're going to hit play. So now you're synced up real time. If you don't do that, really nothing's going to happen. You're going to see a frozen picture just like this while they're flying real time. So another tip and trick that we kind of had to learn the hard way. All right, we'll do ET. She's got lead on her right. She just got pushed out to root. We'll go from there. It'll be phaser go ET level 3, 2, and then lead will pull away as probably standard everywhere. So you guys ready to go? All right, we'll take you off mute here, switch, and coming off pause now.
Yep. Way too far. 2. 2's in.
And we'll keep max here, guys.
Roger.
All right, for us, what I'm looking for the student to do is recognize the change in aspect, angle off, and recognize closure, and keep a steady range from lead. So right now, switch, I got you about 1,000 feet, kind of at the far edge of that fighting wing cone. There you go. We'll keep a distance that looks just like that.
Don't you fuck mother.
Looking to establish another correct pursuit curve, maintain and regain sight if lost.
Mini OCF. I'm coming. Mini OCF. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Don't mind me. So does it do this?
Okay, we can go ahead and knock it off. So anyone can call it. Okay, phaser, knock it
Phaser,
off.
knock it off. Phaser 2, knock it off. Phaser 2, knock it off.
All right, we got a safety flight for the 100 knots. We'll go ahead and look at that.
Two reflown route right side.
2.
You're up to phaser 1, 900, 400 Gs.
Phaser 2, 900, 6 Gs. Yeah, there's tough.
All right, we're gonna pause you guys here. All right, we got a knock it off situation. So safety of flight, we'll check out how we got there and what we can do to prevent it. And we'll look at TAC view here. So what happened? We got slow in the vertical, below 100 knots. Oh, is that OCF right there? Okay. I'm going to click through. All right, there it is. All right, so this looks like kind of a not recognizing where that vertical turn circle was, and then trying to lag, or we're already high, so we're slow, trying to pull to chase one through a loop. And where do we start? Let's look at the airspeed. So in TAC view, it's pretty nice. What we got is a telemetry 1 and telemetry 2 window, and it's just like what you guys see here. It's going to give you the raw data. In the sim, this works pretty nicely, so that now if you're just using TAC view, we're going to use TAC view just to debrief this one, not OBS, just to see how it works. You can see the starting parameters and where you were at any one point in time in the maneuver. So we can already see our indicated is 211. Is that what that is, Switch? All right, so we got lead that pulls through a loop. It looks like he digs, probably gets his 230, 240, and he's going up over the top. We have now 2, maybe not checking the airspeed or not really knowing how to get that airspeed back, trying to follow 1 through a loop. And that's how we got to that knock it off scenario. We got below 100 knots here, okay? So what is the fix? Well, we can go back into the first person view, and it looks like she just keeps lead right out in front of her without any attempt to soften this aspect by pushing forward on the stick and intercepting this vertical turn circle, and or getting that airspeed back before she follows lead through the loop. So what's the fix on this one? When you see lead snap his wings and dig and kind of aggressively pull straight up like this, if I don't have at least 230, I'm pushing forward on the stick and I'm letting lead flow to the top of the canopy bow. I'm not going to go ahead and keep him out in front of me, because this is what's going to happen is we're just going to climb this hill. This aspect is going to start to increase, and we're going to get slow and below 100 over the top. And that's exactly what happened right there. So it's recognizing I have to get the nose down to get airspeed, and I have to, and we'll look at it from this point of view, I have to intercept this turn circle if I want to go ahead and draw the same line through space. So we got offset vertical turn circles in ET there. Any questions? Ron Todd says classic. Yeah, I know. This is perfect. No, that's perfect. All right, we got ET. Pretty legit. Do you want to do an FM set, or did you want to just call it quits there. It's up to you guys. It's Friday. What is it? 4:13. Yeah, a defensive cross check would be pretty good.
I'll fly offensive, and we'll just call it a day. All right, so go to there.
Where are you? There you are.
All right, we'll go ahead and start OBS here. That's easy to kind of forget. So we'll start recording.
All right, I'll give you the lead to the left, okay? You just take it.
I'm on your right.
All right, I'll give you. I'm just in the tack right side. I'll give you the lead.
Okay.
You call it, all right?
Okay.
All right, before we unpause, what we're going to do is we're going to do an FM level 2
Good.
exercise. Really, the emphasis here is it's going to be on cross-check to get a good fights on, both airspeed, altitude, and aspect parameters. So pretty much the first eyes on a student, or IPs I guess now, have for perch setups. But what we have found is this really helps to debrief that cross check. It really helps to debrief what that turn circle looks like. And so as IPs now flying TAC and FM, here's sort of what that looks like. And this is a great tool to just jump in and take some hacks before you go actually fly it in the airplane. The way that we're going to fly it, just to refresh everybody, fights on is going to be 200 knots plus or minus 10. What altitude are we at? We're at 9. So we'll go to 11.5. Cool. We'll go ahead and climb at 160. So pitch for 160 to get to 11.5. Once we're at 11.5 in a good tack position, we'll go ahead and push it up, and we'll dig the nose to go from 160 to 200, and we'll both level off at 11,200 knots. We'll be about 3,000 line abreast when we get the ones ready, twos ready, and then we'll go ahead and check. Once that's done, the offender, and in this case Blue is now going to be the offender, he'll go ahead and count down until he's at 1,500 feet. Now 1,500 feet is going to be the size of the TAS antenna, all right, for him. For us, for the defender, for what you guys are going to see, we're going to want a good 45 aspect, and that's going to be our job to set that aspect on the attacker. And we'll go ahead and kind of look real time to see what that looks like from the offender or from the defender's point of view, so that we have something objectively able to debrief and objectively be able to give the student in the briefing a good picture on what to shoot for. From there, what we're going to want to do is intercept the turn circle. And then for goal position, guys, I'm not too worried about that. Just want a good turn circle entry, good fights on, and then we can terminate as required. You can go ahead and give us a couple pulls, switch, and then Slayer will try and get to the goal position. So valid fights on and valid turn circle entry, turn circle assessment, and then we'll go ahead and pause and sort of and debrief that. Sound good? All right, I'm going to go ahead and unpause you guys, and we'll take it from there. All right, coming off pause now. Yeah, Todd. A little bit of it in the beginning was how to set up TAC view, how to get the range aspect, those sorts of things. And so it's in kind of towards the beginning. The first half hour of this video is the stream was live and we're setting things up. So it's towards the beginning of when we were flying the setup there, so you can check it out. For Jaeger, dude, the station keeping is great. I know that the 38s are having trouble seeing, and one sec, Slayer, 1 minute. I know the 38s are having trouble with fidelity at range at 6,000 at a mile. For us, it works really nice, but yeah, it's something that we've got to work with as far as getting the 38 fidelity usable to station keep.
2.
All right. Right now, accelerating to 200 to 11,000. Good range.
Phaser 2's ready.
2.3, 2.1, 4.9, 4.7. Here's the price on.
The fidelity is great for fingertip. The sensitivity as far as the controls go, it's kind of difficult. We've gotten a little bit better for fingertip, but a lot of times we just get to what we call a close route, and it works out. All right, we can terminate.
Phaser terminate.
Phaser 1 terminate.
Phaser 2 terminate.
Phaser roll out reference south.
Ooh,
Phaser 2 go attack left side.
chew.
Phaser out check. Phaser 1 800 5.03.
Phaser 2 800 6 Gs.
All right, looks good. Let's go ahead and see how we did on our objectives. Jumping on pause. Oop, thanks. Cool. So objectives, valid fights on. We talked about the 200 and 11,000 feet. The tolerances for that is going to be plus or minus 10 for the airspeed. So 200 to 190 to 210, and then the altitude could be plus or minus 100 feet. Now, one of the tougher things to do for the defender is obviously setting and holding that aspect. Right now, what we saw was a pretty awesome fights on, both at range and aspect, and we'll go ahead and validate that right now. So we'll stop recording on OBS. We'll jump into the videos, and we'll see how we did. All right, so right now we're playing back from the OBS. We got the check right, phaser check right. We got the pure call, which then the defender is going to switch or reverse their turn. So right now what we can see already is things are looking pretty good. We're at a 4 aspect, and what does that look like from the student's perspective? So this is one of the best things about replaying the sim from the student's perspective. If you, and this is tough to see, but my mouse is sort of circling where the offender is. If you put them a shot glass forward of this rear canopy bow, and this works in the plane, and obviously it works here because we have a pretty good aspect readout, you're going to get about that 4, kind of that 4-5 aspect, right in the ballpark of what we want to keep as far as the defender holding the correct aspect for fights on. Now it's going to be the offender, just like we're mentioning, counting down to that 1,500 foot range, at which point that's going to be the fights on call. So what we saw is a great job by the offender in counting down the range and the distance, and he's using his cockpit references, because we get a fights on at right at 1,500 feet, and you can tell because we pretty much change our lift vector. We're going to be at max, and we're going to get on that G here in a minute for that fights on. So let's see if we got a valid fights on. As far as the defender, we are definitely at 11,000 plus or minus 100 feet, and the airspeed is pretty much shacked right at 200, so that's great. And then the aspect is right where we want it. It was at 3.8. Is that what that's saying? So right there at that 4 aspect. We'll call it plus or minus 5, so it doesn't really get much better than that. Now that we've got the perch setups, now we can talk about the maneuvering. And really, that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here with FM. For the offender, we talked about turn circle entry, and that's pretty good turn circle entry with a bid to a little bit of lead here to be a little bit aggressive in cutting down this closure, which you're going to see ending up happening. So valid fights on for both, and then a good turn circle entry for the offender. Right now what we would do is we'd move from the sim, And once the student is able to kind of recreate what he is seeing and put that into a successful objective as far as FM goes, then we're going to move to the sortie, and actually in the airplane we're going to see if that translates. And the student now has already seen the picture. Give you an example, the defender is already knowing how to set that aspect, where that cross-check, what that cross-check pace is like, and we can kind of see what that looks like. Forward, backwards, forwards for about 2 seconds each. So now he's going to take this cross-check and he's going to take those references, and we're going to go fly it in the plane, and hopefully we're going to see a pretty good advancement in grades, because they're learning a lot here in the sim. So this is kind of how we're using the sims. Again, it's not going to be a jump into the sim and practice it yourself, and it's not only going to be a sortie rehearsal. We're going to do some part task training. So I think we got some learning points here. We can move forward, take into either the next sim or the next flight, and then advance the syllabus. So guys, please let me know. Email me or text me. You guys pretty much know who I am. Let me know if this is worthwhile and if we should keep going, moving forward with this. But it's kind of the first of hopefully many. But thanks for tuning in, guys.